can, depending on your job, you can try to negotiate it. Usually you just have a body of work you have to get done every week. And for a time in my career, I worked 50, 60 hours. I rarely went home, but in the evenings. And then when I had my third child, I said, I want to sit with the other two at the dinner table. So my husband and I agreed that he would pick up the kids. That was normally my job because they were at my job, actually, on Mondays and Fridays. And I could work till midnight if I wanted to or needed to or something. But I decided to always have dinner with a friend on Mondays instead, which was my sanity. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I always went home on time so the kids knew they would see me at dinner. But I had to, tell my team that. I had to talk to my boss about that. And they didn't, most of the time when I was there till 8 or 9, I was there alone or in my office alone anyway. So I was able to work it out. But you just have to, try to figure out what works for you. Because it won't work if you're working every night.
And it sounds like it's pretty competitive where you work, too, that maybe that's part of it. I'm not letting my 5-year-old stop me from achieving, or I'm competing against the 30-year-old who doesn't have kids, and I need to show that I can still make it happen.
I see some generational differences, though, that I think we're at this strange moment in time where things are changing very quickly in terms of the roles that dads play and the roles that moms play, and also the way companies are becoming more accepting of flexibility. There have been a lot of studies about the next generation of workers and their different attitude towards work. And there is this less of a willingness to trade off, you hear employers talking about how they can't get younger people to take promotions, even if they pay them more, especially if they have to relocate to another part of the country, because people just are not putting work first the way people, the way we did, and the way that we still do. So I think there is, not everybody, but I think there is some evidence that there is a generational shift going on. And also, I think that, I grew up in the 60s and 70s, and I was told constantly that to hold my head up high as a woman, I had to work and have kids. I had to have it all. And I have a chip on my shoulder. And that's fine. That's the way that it is. But I think that younger women don't have that same chip, thank God. They just feel like, well, I can work and not, it's fine. So.
I think the whole issue of the trade-offs, though, is something that I think in my intro it was mentioned that I'm kind of on the steering committee for implementing mass career customization at Deloitte. And some of the topics that you brought up are exactly what's going on. I mean, there's a couple of facts in play. There's more women in the workforce who want this flexibility. More men want this flexibility, too. Gen X and Gen Y expect this flexibility. It's not an option for them that you would do anything else. And there's this big talent gap coming. I mean, in my industry, they're expecting a 6 million person gap within the next 5 years between the number of people that we need and the number that will be available. And so, our initiative around this mass career customization is this whole thing about articulating the trade-offs that people are going to make, recognizing that if you want that posh job, then let's be clear about what the expectations are. It is going to be this investment of hours and time and energy at work. But if that's not what you want to do right now, let's talk about what you are willing to invest and how that's going to work within our business. And the great thing about it is that I think there's the recognition that it is not one decision for the rest of your life. It is the decision that's right for you at that point in time. And that as long as there's sort of open communication, and the way we're doing it is we're making it part of our existing HR process, where at your mid-year and your year-end, it's actually part of your counseling discussion with your counselor. Okay, so you have this profile that describes various dimensions of your career. Is this still accurate? How do you see this changing 3 years from now? So that, as a business, we're having those conversations, encouraging people to think about it for themselves. Because honestly, what we found is that a lot of people don't actually articulate what they want. They bemoan what they don't have, but they don't articulate and tell people what they want. And so how can, as a counselor or as an employer, you respond to things that people aren't even asking for? So I think that whole issue of trade-offs is an important one, and I'm encouraged that people are talking about it more, and employers are being put in a position where they have to be more open to creative solutions, and that employees are being more creative in what they're suggesting.